Pending. There we go. Awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So we've got some fun backgrounds on, definitely keeping us entertained. Today, we are going to do the third session for choral. And we're going to get things off with kick things off with talking about our thoughts and the way that our thoughts sometimes make us feel and how that can affect our alcohol use. Basically, everything that we do starts with a thought. Everything we feel starts with a thought. When you think about what you want to eat for dinner, you usually ask yourself what your best options are, and then you decide to prepare a meal. This might sound a little familiar, kind of like the stop, ask, and decide that we talked about last session. That was kind of a prelude into this whole being aware of what our thoughts are when we decide anything, really. And one way to kind of conceptualize this is automatic thinking. Often leads to a lot of different feelings and thoughts that can occur that maybe we're not always aware of how our thoughts impact that. But for example, something like being insulted or criticized that often seems to immediately cause being angry, feeling upset, yelling, or crying. We've got different feelings and emotions. And it seems to be a very direct connection between that thing happening and the feelings and actions we take. But in between that thing and our feelings, there's actually a thought that occurs. And perhaps in this case, if we're talking about this insult, this hypothetical insult, you have to think about it. You have to register it and realize what about it bothered you before you become upset. Maybe you felt disrespected and that made you upset, or whether you felt angry and yelled immediately. You had to think about that insult first. And this comes into play too when we're talking about our decision making in regards to drinking. And we don't need to get into that just yet. We will in a minute, but I want you to think about a time where maybe a thought you've had led to a particular feeling or action that you took. So this can be literally anything. So like maybe you looked outside, you saw the sun was shining, and you're like, wow, that's pretty. And it brought a smile to your face. Any examples from your life?
So me and my roommate get really bored, and we are always like, oh, let's play a game. That's our go-to thing.
Yeah, so when you start to, what are maybe some of when you're feeling bored, what are maybe some of those thoughts that happen?
So when I'm bored, it's like, should I start working on homework? No, I've been working on homework for like 7 hours. Should I go for a walk? I just had a 3-mile walk. Like, let's just play a game. I don't want to watch TV right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're definitely, you have those thoughts of, okay, I already went on a walk. I don't want to do homework anymore. Absolutely. And that leads to you feeling kind of bored. And then you take that action to play a game, which is awesome. Yeah, great example. Any other examples?
I have another.
Go for it.
If I get hungry, I'm like, I should probably go make food, or I'll order food. And I notice that I get hungry if I start to get really hangry, or like things just start to annoy me, and I'm like, I should probably eat.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're thought in that kind of situation of getting a little hangry is, probably like, I am so hungry, and it's, distracting you and making you angry because your body is like, hello, it's food time. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Cynthia, for some great examples. And what we kind of did there was looking for our thoughts, trying to catch these automatic thoughts that occur. Sometimes it's really hard to come up with them because we're so used to kind of passing over them. It's just a part of how our brain processes things. But using something like that stop, ask, decide method that we talked about last session helps us catch those thoughts because we're taking a minute to look at what's going on. And one way to do that is through practice and practicing kind of listening to that voice in our head, listening to our thoughts. And a lot of times that voice in our head tells us a lot of different things within these automatic thoughts. It might be telling us things like eating healthier, exercise more, some very positive things, healthy things to do with our lives. But sometimes it tells us, why you like to drink. It reminds you of some of those positives, right? Those automatic thoughts can come in with those habits as well. But you actually do have some power over this voice in your head. You can have it change its message. We can use positive thoughts to replace the negative ones. We can be more aware of our automatic thinking as it refers to drinking and how that aligns with kind of your values and the changes that you want to see. And the more that you stop, ask, and decide, the easier it's going to be to do this process, to catch these automatic thoughts. And I want us to maybe try and do this with we did the triggers and strategies for change that we did that last week. So I want us to take this whole like stop, ask, decide thing and with the automatic thoughts and see if you can find a situation with maybe one of those triggers or the situations that are going to make you more likely to want to drink, and see if you can identify maybe an automatic thought that you might have in those situations before you drink.
Are we sharing?
If you're willing to, that would be awesome.
Okay, so I guess like usually if I'm like close to drinking, like usually I'm around friends. I don't drink by myself. Like it's really I don't like how it makes me feel sometimes. So usually if I'm with my friends, like I guess when they start drinking, I'll stop and think like, do I want to drink? Is that something I want to do? Like, and then think about like the possible consequences, like, well, if I drink, will I be able to drive home? Or am I going to have to find a ride? Am I going to have to walk? Nobody wants to walk home. Like, so, like, just playing out the scenarios in my head, like, if I want to do this, how hard would it be? Like, how easy would it be, I guess?
Yeah, it sounds like you're already kind of a pro at using the stop, ask, decide thing. That's exactly what we want you to do, is recognize all those different potential paths you could take, I guess. So yeah. Thank you. Paul, were you going to share something too?
I was going to share something pretty similar. The trigger thing that I think I shared a couple weeks ago was when I had friends visit and like we would go into a setting that it was easy to drink in. And kind of the thought that runs through my head that makes me kind of debate back and forth whether I should was I feel not necessarily obligated, but like kind of weird or out of place if I go there and they're drinking or not. So that's the thought that like either triggers me to drink or triggers me to think about whether I should or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a thought I think a lot of people can relate to in social situations. Is it going to be weird if I'm not drinking? People are going to like really notice that, and it's going to put me out of place. Absolutely. I think a couple people shared a similar-ish trigger. So what could be maybe a strategy for change or a different thing you could tell yourself when that thought comes in your head that I'm going to look weird or out of place? And this is for anyone.
I think as far as looking out of place, something that somebody suggested to me at some point in time was a drink in your hand's a drink in your hand. Not necessarily like that, like no one's drinking your drink beside you. They don't necessarily know the alcohol content of your drink. So if you do kind of feel, out of place with that, that's a kind of a way to avoid the interaction, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let you kind of blend in a little more. Any other thoughts that we could maybe replace that with? I'm gonna feel really weird. I'm gonna look out of place.
Why do I care what they think?
Love that. Yeah, absolutely. Very true.
Also be like, I know I won't embarrass myself as much because I won't be a little bit out of it.
Yeah, definitely. So being like, okay, it's like I'll be able to be in control of the actions that I'm doing. Yeah. Great examples. Any other thoughts for any other ideas for different thoughts we could have? No, you guys did great. And sometimes that can be hard to do when it's kind of your own thoughts going on. So I really want to encourage you to continue using this workbook going forward when you're out of this class. Continue using this workbook to recognize those thoughts that might exist in those situations that are triggering, to find out ways that you can make sure that you're still making the decisions that you want to make in those situations and keeping yourself safe. So yeah, you've got an awesome resource in this, so hold on to it. And that's all that I've got for this activity. So Haven, you want to take it away?
Yes, I think I'm off mute now. Sorry. Okay, so now we're going to go into like withdrawal, what kind of symptoms happen with alcohol withdrawal, or even just a simple like withdrawal from sweets, anything that you guys can relate to. And then following that, I'm going to go right on into effects of alcohol. So with withdrawal, if you guys can give me an example of a time where you might have had withdrawal from, well, one, drinking, which I think most of you have explained that you don't really have that often, but maybe there was one specific time that you can remember. And if you don't have one with drinking, if you could come up with one for something else, like withdrawal from your phone or something, and what you were feeling whenever you were having those withdrawal symptoms.
So I feel like, I think you just said it, the phone. I get that. I get that so much. If I can't find my phone, like the anxiety I get from that, just like, it's ridiculous. I should not care that much about a phone. Like a phone can be replaced, but like if I can't be like in contact with someone, like what if I'm missing a text or a call, or like what if someone needs me, like that, it's ridiculous. But I can definitely pinpoint those feelings, like that anxiousness or like the jittery, like jitters I get, like if I don't have my phone, like I feel like that's what it would be like, probably something like that.
So you said anxious, jitters, worry.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah, probably. I mean, some people get headaches, right, from withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, okay, well, I can give a little scenario. So my mom was an alcoholic. That was actually her birthday, but she passed. But she was an alcoholic, and you could tell in the mornings, she would get like shaky hands, or like she always said her head hurt, so migraines, she got those. And she would even like get sick from not drinking. So like throwing up from not drinking. That was crazy to me at the time, but now that I've like taken the health classes, it kind of makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah, those are all really good. Well, both of your two examples were great, especially the one that is more relatable to alcohol use being like the physical symptoms. Yours were a lot of like kind of like mental stuff, but the one about your mom was more like physical, and those are all great examples for withdrawal symptoms. Does anybody else have another personal example?
I can share one. It's not with alcohol, but I am like a pre-diabetic. So I used to eat like a lot of junk food when I felt like my sugar dropping. And lately I've been trying to like stop most of it. So I've gotten rid of like all of the junk food in like my pantry and everything. So there are some days where I will have like these migraines appear and like I will have my sugar drop and I can feel that those physical feelings. I could feel those. And then like mentally it would affect me because I have to think that I will need something sweet after every meal or something just to just have that feeling, just have that taste in my mouth.
Right. Yeah, sweets are really fun too because the way that they affect like your wants and your needs, and same thing with withdrawals for that too. So that was a really good one as well. Does anybody else have one?
I was just going to second what both of them said. The phone and the food, it's such a big deal. Sweets are, for me, really any type of food that I really want. I mean, it's been with like fatty foods or things like that too. Just anything that I'm really craving. It's so hard to really deal with like that sort of, gnawing at your mind.
Right. It's literally almost like that's all you can think about in that time frame. Like with the phone example, like, oh, I can't find my phone, like crap. That's all you're gonna think about for the next 5 to 10 minutes or however long it takes you to find it. And same thing with like sweets and alcohol as well. Like if that's what you're thinking about having, you're gonna think about it for a while until that craving, like we talked about last week, goes away. So just a little bit more about withdrawal and then like the psychological and the physical symptoms. So a lot of the psychological symptoms are going to be the anxiety, like we talked about. Sometimes it can lead to depression, fatigue, nervousness. You're unsure of things, irritability, possibly mood swings, depending on how much you are really like using alcohol, and then sometimes even shakiness, like Emily mentioned, like the jitters. And then the physical symptoms, as well are going to be like elevated blood pressure, which is something that obviously you can't control, headaches, insomnia, nervousness, like a rapid heart rate. If you drink a lot and you're not doing that anymore, your heart normally races whenever you do drink a lot anyways. So once you're withdrawing from that, you're going to have that rapid heart rate, and then sweating comes along with it. So just noticing and realizing like all of the psychological and physical symptoms to withdrawal, no matter what it be from, is really important to be able to pinpoint and just kind of keep track of on your own. So withdrawal symptoms, though, are actually signs that the body is recovering. So these symptoms are often short-term and generally will gradually resolve within 7 to 10 days. So if it's something that you make a habit and you're doing it very often, daily, within 7 to 10 days, it should be something that is a lot easier for somebody to manage. That could be with drugs or alcohol or any other cravings and withdrawal symptoms that we're withdrawing from. About 7 to 10 days is the basic time frame that you should start to, or the symptoms should start to subside. So I believe there is something in your book. I think it's page 19. I'm not positive, but let me get there and double check.
I have it down as page 25.
Thank you. Let me change that in my book. I don't know why I have that. Okay, so for y'all to fill out at the same time every day. So like if you get up at 7 a.m. and you have time at 7:10 to fill it out really quick, it shouldn't take very long whatsoever. Just to kind of see what kind of symptoms you are having and if it gets any better over the next 7 days. So if you guys just want to do that, so examples on here are, the only thing I could think about was drinking some alcohol. So you're just kind of going to mark off from 0 to 10, 0 being not at all, and 10 being extremely strong, and you're just going to fill that out for each day. Does anybody have any questions about that, or is it pretty think it's pretty basic, but alrighty. So next, what we're going to do is kind of talk about the effects of alcohol and then tie that into withdrawal and how things will pass easily and again with some time frame. So effects of alcohol are basically, we've talked about them throughout this whole course so far, but just some reminders with health and academics, relationships, finances. Once you do become dependent on alcohol or are having those cravings, it has tons of effects on all of the things I just listed. So some examples on your health, the alcohol is going to affect, causes high blood pressure. If you have heart disease, it can make your heart disease worsen. It can cause strokes, liver diseases, obviously a huge one. And then digestive problems can cause different kinds of cancers, especially with mouth, throat, esophagus, liver, colon. So your digestive system basically obviously causes weakening of the immune system. So meaning it increases the risk of individuals getting sick. So the more you drink, it weakens the system and you're more than likely to get sick more often. Whenever it comes to mental health problems, it sometimes worsens. It is a depressant, so it does worsen depression symptoms and anxiety as well, like we mentioned, especially whenever it comes to withdrawing. An increased risk of course, motor vehicle crashes, falls, drowning, violence, because oftentimes whenever people drink, they don't know what they're going to do. So sometimes it increases people's violence, or like we've mentioned multiple times, the driving situation. You don't know how you're going to get home, and sometimes people do just drive, so it increases motor vehicle accidents. And then, of course, risky sexual behavior as well. A lot of times whenever people drink, if they don't really know what's going on, or they're feeling, a little bit more confident and outgoing, more than likely to have unplanned sex or unprotected sex too, and sometimes with multiple partners. So definitely just some health risks to keep in mind. Whenever it comes to school and academics, alcohol obviously can play a big role, especially if you're someone who is drinking consistently during the week. For example, if you go out until 2 a.m. and you're having a ton to drink, more than one drink an hour, you're more than likely still going to be drunk at 8 or 9 whenever you go to your morning class. If you have a test, you're not going to do as well on it as you probably would have if you wouldn't have been drinking the night before. Just examples like that. Alcohol does play a big role on academics and does affect your grades and attendance and things like that. Whenever it comes to relationships, of course, I'm sure alcohol affected everyone in some way when it comes to relationships, whether that be with a friend, a coworker, or a significant other. Since alcohol does tend to lower our inhibitions, it often makes us feel like more confident, less anxious at times. So it usually leads to people saying how they feel, which doesn't always end up in a good way. Sometimes it can, but sometimes it cannot, and you might regret something that you said, which is why it might affect a relationship. And then alcohol also causes like social problems, so like loss of productivity. It can cause family problems, unemployment problems, all sorts of things, especially once you become more dependent on alcohol. And then finances, it also plays a role in finances. So on average, college students spend around $900 a year on alcohol. And that's just the basic average, but still that $900 could go towards something else. As we all know, if we, spend a little less, there's plenty of stuff that we would like to save for, which is in another section, but it does play a big role on our finances, causes financial stress, especially with us having to pay for our bills and everything in college and rent. So the less you spend on alcohol, the more you're going to be able to either save or put towards things that are going to be more beneficial for you in the long run. So just something I'm going to reiterate is that, again, if you are, struggling with something like a craving, don't forget that within 30 minutes, is usually the max you're going to be able to forget about that craving. So try to distract yourself from that. And then with withdrawal, it's usually about 7 to 10 days for you to not feel those, nervous jitters, psychological and physical aspects of actually withdrawing.
Alrighty, so thank you for all that awesome information, Hayden. We've talked a lot today, last session, about Stop, Ask, Decide. We've talked a lot about decisions and how decisions can lead you into situations that might be a little riskier. They might lead to triggers, cravings. So one way that we can work through these decisions is by using problem solving. And what's great about problem solving is that you can use it for any problem. It doesn't have to be related to alcohol in any way, shape, or form. And we are going to go through a 6-step problem solving worksheet, basically, with any problem that's going on. Because what's great is that you can take that skill, what we're going to practice today in session, and use that in your everyday life. Again, as it relates to alcohol use and to cutting that down and being safer with it, or to other things, right? Because we run into problems basically every day. So I want you to go to page 28. We'll make sure that's the right page. But yeah, we're going to go to page 28. That should have problem solving steps on it. It does. Yay. Good. Yeah, perfect. So we can see that there's 6 steps on this lovely sheet to solving a problem. And likely this might feel like taking a few steps back because you've probably solved a lot of problems at this point in your life. You got to college. Regardless, we're still going to work through a problem that you've got going on because sometimes we do have problems that feel so big and overwhelming that working through these 6 steps can be really helpful for those really big problems. Really quickly, the steps are, first one is defining the problem, so identify what it is. Generate and brainstorm as many possible solutions as you can come up with, even if they're not very realistic at this point. We just want any kind of solution out there. Then we're going to select the best solution. That's why you want a nice big list. Create a detailed plan, so go in and come up with steps on how to achieve this solution, to go through this strategy. Do it, carry out your plan. And then we have to go back and review the outcome. So what happened? Did it turn out the way you wanted? Were you able to solve that problem? Or maybe you need to go back a couple steps and start over. I want you to come up with a problem that you got going on right now. Make sure it's not something so big that we can't cover it on the span of this class. We've got like 10 minutes for this activity, so probably pick something a little smaller. But I want you to go through these steps on page 29 and work through them kind of on your own initially, and then we'll have an opportunity to share once we've worked through those 6 steps. Any questions at this point? Cool. Have at it. And when you're done, if you want to raise your hand, do we all know how to do that in Teams? Yeah, do that. So that way then I know everyone's done. Please. All righty. Looks like everyone is done. If you want to lower your hands. Thanks for trying that out. That was definitely nice to know when you're finished. Anyone willing to share their problem and kind of go through these 6 steps with us?
So
Yeah, go for it.
my problem was late homework. My constant problem was late homework. And the 3 choices I came up with were do the homework now, like immediately, do it later, or don't do it at all. And kind of the pluses and minuses of those. Obviously, doing it now means I have to do it now. It's going to take up my time immediately, and that's no fun. Doing it later, it's going to be later than it is now, and I might not do it at all. And not doing it, of course, would be a bad grade. Best option is to do it now, unfortunately. And my more detailed plan was basically just listing the things that need to be done, order of importance, and the steps to get them done, things like that. And then how will the plan be carried out? I wasn't totally sure about the difference between that and the more detailed plan, but I said I was going to create an environment that was conducive to doing homework, get rid of distractions and whatnot. And then the last one, unfortunately, I haven't done it yet, so I don't know how.
Absolutely. Yeah, should have thought through like the last 2 steps, but yeah, that's perfect. Exactly what you did. Yeah, you don't have to come up with the results, and obviously you'll carry it out later. So yeah, thank you for sharing, Paul. Anyone else willing to share?
Mine was similar to Paul's. Mine's like I have 1,000 projects and essays due soon, so that's been stressing me out. Like Dr. DeRuiter Williams just assigned so many things for our applied health comm class.
It's sick. It is disgusting. It's
I know, I'm freaking out. It's insane. But yeah, so I can either get them all done really soon, put them all off, or like make a set schedule. So I'm gonna work hard to get them done. I have to figure out a schedule with all the due dates and see which I have to do first, and then work on the ones that have the due dates next and try to follow the schedule as best as I can without killing myself. But
yeah, absolutely. That sounds very stressful.
Okay, well mine was not as important, but I guess I really didn't know what to do, so I said I don't know how to cook. And so thinking of possible solutions, watching videos, asking friends, collecting recipes. And then I picked the best strategy would probably be to watch the videos on like how to cook the food. And then to create a detailed plan, I guess I'd watch videos on how to like cook the meats and stuff and the vegetables and like look at plans for like including all my daily nutrients, you know, because that's what I don't do. Like I just eat fast food all the time and it's terrible. And how can I be a health promotion major when I eat like caca? So for carrying out the plan, I would buy the food and cook it. And then reviewing the results, I would invite people to try my food.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, and I think you did a really great job of breaking down what can be kind of like a ambiguous problem almost. Like, you know, like I don't know how to cook. It's been this way my whole life and it seems really big, so I'm just going to not deal with it. But you know, you were able to break it down into fairly manageable sounding steps. So great job.
Yeah, I want to do it. We'll see if I do though.
Do it and report back. Anyone else willing to share?
Oh, you guys, what I'm eating.
Okay. Do they taste good?
Yeah, they're delicious.
Okay, I have learned new things today. Thank you. Thank you. So one question for everyone. What was it like to kind of break down your problems like this? What was that like?
I think it definitely made it seem easier. I mean, it may not have made it easier, but like breaking it down, it seems a lot simpler. But once you have to do all those things, of course, it's harder.
It was a little bit uncomfortable. Like I would much rather, or I'd be much more comfortable just ignoring them. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's not a solution at all. But as far as comfort in the moment, I would much rather just not believe that that homework exists.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Confronting our problems is usually uncomfortable. Yeah. Well, thanks to everyone for being willing to be vulnerable a little bit, share about this, and work through these problems. There's a second problem in here, and part of your homework is to fill that out. Do a second problem and do something like throughout the week that maybe comes up. So even if you're not using it in the moment to like work through a problem, use it very soon after. Write about how it turned out, what problem solving you might have used. And then report back and let us know kind of how that went. Was it able to be useful in the moment? Or was it just kind of a lot of extra steps? See if it can be a practical tool for you. But I think that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I've got for problem solving.
All right, so the next activity is going to be drug-free activities, and then we're basically done with today's session. So my first question to everyone is, are there any fun or just basic alcohol-free activities that you have been curious about trying in the past, but you just haven't necessarily done before? Like, this could be as simple as, I want to do more puzzles or read more. Anything like that. I know that Cynthia likes games, so maybe there's another example that I can do. But crafting, anything. Is there any activities that people haven't done but have thought about starting?
I want to start exercising. I guess, like, you guys look at me and probably are like, oh yeah, she's on the cheerleading team, so she works out. But really my only workout is when I'm there at cheerleading, doing like the stunts and lifting people. I mean, yeah, that's good exercise, but it's not like cardio. I mean, it is cardio because I'd be out of breath, but that's how I know I need to work out. So that is an activity.
Same.
Yeah, that's an activity I would want to try. I don't know, I just really hate running, so I need to find like more fun cardio because I want it to be fun.
Yeah, me too. I don't enjoy running. So exercise is a great one. Anybody else?
I definitely agree with exercising because most of my workouts are just like going on walks or randomly doing yoga. But me and my roommate were cracking up because we've literally done like probably 50 puzzles since COVID started. Like, not even exaggeration. We've done so many.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah. We're obsessed.
Do you keep them and like frame them, or do you just like put them back in the box to do later?
We have like she's glued them and they're like under the couch. I love it.
Yeah, I love that.
Hi, by the way.
There's like 30 under there.
Yeah,
We
this
didn't
just-
glue them all, but a lot of them.
That's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was so ready for that.
You guys have
I know, you got ready so fast.
Awesome. Paul or Monique, do you have anything?
I don't know. I think my time is super full. I don't really think about new things so much as the things I've already got on my plate, honestly.
Yeah.
I wish there was something, but I mean, it's hard to think of off the. I mean, I would love to exercise more, but I don't want to steal theirs.
Okay, Monique, do you have any?
Sure. I mean, it ties into exercising, but like I used to enjoy hiking a lot, but I haven't done it a lot lately. So getting back out there will be something great. And now that I have a puppy, it might be even better since I'll have somebody to go with me now.
Yes,
That's one.
perfect. It is more fun bringing a dog along for activities outside, I think. So those are all great ones. Paul, I'm going to make you think here, though, because we do have an activity coming up where you got to write some stuff down. So in general, having new activities and, expanding your knowledge on different things that you can start and changing your time around a little bit to focus on a little bit actually goes into self-care and like things that make you happy. And being a little bit more healthy too. It sounds like everybody says that they want to get into exercising a little bit more. So these will just definitely help with progressing the like quitting or cutting down of alcohol use or bad habits in general. It's a great way to branch out, great way to spend time with different people too. Like if there's things that other people are good at that you're interested in, you can expand your friendships, relationships, all sorts of things. So on page 32, it is a positive drug-free activities chart that looks like this. And there are 6 different slots, but you can fill out all of them if you want, but at least if you could get down like 3, that would be awesome. So I'm going to have you guys write down at least 3, but if you want to write all 6, go for it, of just different activities that you would be interested in trying. And this could even be like, I want to start my own business whenever I'm 45 or 60 years old. Like, that's totally fine. Like, just something that you want to do. It could be now or in the future. Even if you have like 2 current ones. And what was that?
You said 32. Page 32.
Yes, 32.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sorry. But yeah, they can be ranging from current or in the future, just things that you want to do, different activities, things you're curious about starting, anything like that. Another thing to note too is like it can be something that is inexpensive and free, like hiking or possibly exercising. If you have like an at-home gym or something, or you want to do it outside, but it can also be something like I already mentioned, but like starting a business or a more expensive hobby, a variety of things. And I see hands going up. So as soon as you think you're done, I'm going to have you star something on that list that you can start this week. So what is one thing on your list that you would like to try to start this week? It could be once this week, or it could be every day this week. And then that's what I'm going to have you share once everybody's finished. And if you already said it, that example, that's okay too. And then whoever wants to share what they have starred on their list to start this week, go ahead.
Well, I start exercise and hiking both, just because they're kind of in combination, especially the hills out here. But also some things that I thought of after the whole time last time was travel. Well, it's not necessarily like it's kind of a hobby, but it would definitely be something that freeing up money and time would definitely help me. And a pet. After Monique saying that with a dog, if I had more time and more money, I would love nothing more than to have a dog. That would be.
Yeah, for sure. And they're very time consuming, but definitely a fun addition.
Paul, you can borrow him anytime you like.
How kind.
But mine will be gardening. Well, I know I won't get to do like a garden like outside of the building here, but I could at least do like house plants. that I could put in the windows.
Okay.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, that's definitely a good and fun, like it's trending hobby, I feel like right now for sure. To take care of plants, whether it be like actual like garden vegetables or just plants in general. It also makes the house full of more oxygen, and it's definitely something fun to do. That's a great one.
I guess I would say I want to start using the days that are nicer to go for walks. So like going on a walk every day, that's nice. Like obviously I don't want to hold myself to walking every day if it's pouring down rain or like who knows, it could snow here again. Knock on wood. But yeah, I want to go for walks more because I do like walking. It's just I don't do it.
Yeah, that's a really good one. All right, I'm gonna hold you to that one. That's a good one, a very manageable one. Cynthia, what do you have?
I could start today.
There you go.
So the one I start is really simple, but I'm horrible at painting my nails. Like it's so messy and I don't have patience. So I would like to be better at painting my nails because my friends always make fun of me because they're always messed up or they'll be like, "All right, let me do this for you." But I want to know how to do it.
Oh, I love it. Very independent. That's an awesome goal to have. So definitely keep practicing. So what I did was I wrote everybody's activities down on this little sticky note, and I'm gonna ask you about them next week. So everybody's got to try to do what you said you were going to do, and then you're going to have to tell us about this fun activity. Was it time consuming? How did it go? Did you do it? Did you not do it? And that is basically your homework, along with the other chart that we were going to have you fill out with the strengths from withdrawal and such. But I think that's basically what we have for this week. Sammy, do you have anything else?
No, we're good to go.
Alrighty. I hope you guys all